Most of the planning efforts of the ecological transition are focusing on energy, transport, resources, and density. We definitely agree with these themes, but there are other dimensions that can be triggered in order to generate change. One of the most remarkable learnings from our study on the Greater Geneva's networks was that after having turned our backs to the natural systems all along the 19th and 20th century, there is now a need to reassess the connection between technology and nature. The rise of the temperature, the change in the way it rains, how much, how strong, how often, as much as the melting of the glaciers and the ice sheet. All of this will dramatically impact the way our local urban networks function. They were designed meticulously like Swiss cuckoo clocks to fit a certain idea of climate. We're now entering uncharted, chaotic territory. Another learning from the Greater Geneva's networks was the amount of land that is owned by these systems. And not only subterranean land, which is always difficult to handle, but also actually lots of space that can sometimes amount to 10% of a metropolis that are only scarcely used for the technical needs that networks have. As you know, there is a trend of miniaturization of water treatment units, waste disposal units, etc. So you start to wonder, could we incorporate the network's territory to sustainable strategies? Imagine that what is now mainly experimental or small scale, such as deriving heat from sewers, generating energy from waste treatment, etc., and etc., become actually a key function of what networks are about. That they say the ecological benefits of networks are not a side dish to what networks are about, but are the main goal. A key takeaway from these recent projects is probably the notion of fallow land. The logics of zoning are completely exhausted, obsolete, and irrelevant. And we see this because there are multiple brittles of the territory that just don't add up. They don't mean nothing. They're absolutely ready to be reordered in the perspective of the ecological transition. The notion of fallow land is sort of giving us a hint that it is more about time than space. Fallow land is actually in the French law. 10% of cultivated land should actually not be cultivated as a necessity for renewing the soils. We believe that such an attitude is one of the many keys that sustainable strategies need to address in the coming years.
Territorial reconfiguration. Reconfiguration. And to explain it, we can maybe now, for this topic, which is immense, we have three main positions. One is unfolding the existing, starting from the borderline situation to what is really existing, like nighttime in the metropolis, invisible networks, suburbanism situations, in deep search of public space. It's a little bit the same, but through modernity, we have like a specific amount of networks, single-phase, simplistic systems, such as slabs, wastewater, fast transport, and all these must be understood enough, or we can say we have to inherit all of them to be able to make some projects with them. And then if we add a third point, like reassociate time and space. Suddenly we are able to generate scenarios, identity, we can cultivate and then hatch new narrative and poetic situations. Slowness. We need to introduce slowness, not to fight the transition, but to integrate the two first points, unfold the existing, rereading modernity. We need slowness for that, to be able to create poetic situations. But also what we really think and deal with in real specific areas, cities, with actors, that suddenly we have huge deposits of actions to bend the carbon footprint. Precise actions to bend the carbon footprint with slowness.